ask you a question, Edgar. Why are the passport bros not going to Sweden, Switzerland, Germany? Why are they going to Colombia, the Philippines, Malaysia, African countries? Why are they going there and not to Europe?
Because that's the choice that they choose. Not
No, that's
every man. That
wrong
is that
answer.
if that
Wrong
no, that can't
answer.
it can't be the wrong answer because you
Because the
can't tell
European women
everybody
are
where they're
modeled
going.
like the West. They're modeled like us, and they're not.
Yeah, so she's obviously pretty mad, and um, I understand. If you have the upper hand in a country like America, and you start to see that these dudes that you rejected are going overseas and killing it, then that's gonna make you mad. And see, everything she's saying is cope, right? Why do they go to these countries, blah, blah, Malaysia and Colombia, Venezuela, whatever? Well, if you look at the statistics on these countries, okay, these are where the most beautiful women come. And how do we know this? Well, we actually have measurable data. So a lot of people think that beauty is subjective, but it's actually not, okay? And the reason it's not is because if a majority of women that are winning the beauty pageants are coming from these countries or these areas of the world, that means a majority of the people deem them to be more beautiful. So, Colombia is one of the countries on that list, okay? It's in the top 10 or top 5 countries of the most beautiful women in the world. And the same goes for a lot of countries in Asia. So, her commenting on that is really just, her crashing out.
So the passport bros is gaining more and more popularity, and honestly, the ladies are not happy about it. And one of the reasons I think it's getting so much pushback from women is because what this is going to mean is that ladies are not going to just have more competition. They're going to have more competition when it comes to dating and mating. There's going to be more options available for men, and I think for many ladies that just makes them feel a little bit uneasy, if I'm just being honest. First of all, the idea of dating and mating being competitive in general is not anything that we grew up hearing. A lot of women grew up hearing they're the prize, they just have to be, and the man will just magically show up. That just their presence isn't up. Like we heard these things, and so the idea of competing or the idea of making yourself available or different things that you would do to make yourself desirable to another partner is very foreign, especially for Black women. And
Yeah, so I mean, again, competition is going to increase this animosity amongst people who feel like now they have to compete. Okay, that whole "I am the table" argument, doesn't really work. And I'll be honest, any girl with that attitude, I don't even pay attention to, no matter how good they look, because that's a philosophy that I just don't subscribe to. But, what's wild is one of the most recent long-term girlfriends I had from Mexico, I was working on something, and we were going to go out, and she picked up the broom and started sweeping my house. Okay. So I will say that is very foreign to me. That was the first girl. Well, I won't say it's the first girl that's done something like that, but that was, a very pleasant surprise. It's not because I want her to stay in the kitchen. It's because she was making herself useful. Okay. She wasn't sitting around swiping on her phone. And she could have easily have done that. She could have been, thumbing through TikTok. No, she decided that she's going to sweep the house, okay, while I was finishing what I was doing. And I've even had girls do things like fold my clothes and this and that. And what's hilarious is that most of the women who have done this have come from foreign countries. Okay, because the dynamic is different there. So this is why men are going to these countries. But let's continue.
Let's talk about passport bros. Only women they'll be getting are the ones that they're paying for, or women from impoverished areas that are desperate, or women from impoverished areas that are desperate, or
women from impoverished areas that are desperate.
Yeah, and this is a common argument, which is more cope, right? So, when people don't have data to back up what they say, or they're probably going to take whatever sort of perception they have and furnish it as some sort of verifiable fact, which is not true. Okay, so when you look at countries like Mexico, and you'll hear me talk a lot about Mexico because I spent the most time there. Yes, overall, it is a more impoverished country. Okay, second, albeit potentially third world, but a lot of the women that I've dated there have been more educated than myself, and they weren't impoverished. Yes, there are some that have had significantly less resources than me. But what's crazy is they have never expected me to do as much as an American woman has that was providing less value. So again, this at the very heart of it, you're exactly right. It is an economic issue. But you sit there and say that, oh, well, we're paying for these women. I mean, women in general, you're paying for whether you like it or not. Okay. Even if there is no monetary exchange and you're not paying for dinners and things like this, you're paying in time. That time could be spent doing other things. Okay. But the point is that no, we or they are not paying these individuals. These individuals want to be in our presence, and that's why we continue to go there and participate in these activities. On top of that, when I look at this girl in this clip, I mean, she is not attractive at all. I mean, on my worst night, I wouldn't wind up in her bed, or hers in my bed. So on to the next.
Passport bros, bro. They hate passport bros. And I'm not going to lie, dog. I am a passport bro. I'm not going to lie. I lived in Asia for 13 years, bro. My wife, guess what? She's Asian, okay? She's not from around these parts where we live now. She's not. But anyway, here's a video of this chick hating passport bros, dude. Hating them. And then I'm going to play the video, and then I'm going to throw in my 2 cents, baby. My 2 cents. I'm going to tell you,
Can we have a serious conversation about the LBHs, passport bros, like whatever you want to call them? I just don't understand how the most basic level men can leave America, travel to these other countries, and just pull absolute tens, like the hottest girls that you will ever see. And these men, like men that we wouldn't even look twice at, are just pulling them and convincing them to date them. Like, I truly don't.
Yeah, so I've seen this clip before, and I love how she says convincing them. That's the funny thing, is you don't have to convince them of anything. They've already convinced themselves, because they too know. A lot of women, for example, in Latin America, a lot of men there, not only do they not have resources, but even despite things like that you would think would be the primary attribute, a lot of those men are not loyal at all. Okay. It's kind of a commonly held thing that, in Latin America, that you have your wife and then you have your girlfriend. And a lot of women don't like that. So, gringos, especially people from the quote West, they don't really have that same stigma. Now, I'm not saying that they don't do the same things, but I'm saying that, for me, for example, when I got a girl, if we were together, then we were together. I wasn't running around on her or anything like that. And see, they know that. And so, again, this is more cope from another individual that's probably single, and she's getting older and her options are dwindling and her standards are going up. And, the dudes her age are like, well, why would I be 40 and date you who's upset and you can't even rear children anymore? Or I can go to a foreign country and date some girl in her mid-20s that gives me the world. I mean, it's a pretty easy decision. I digress.
Why y'all getting so mad? Like, oh, I see your TikToks. The way you talk about women in America, you think we so bad. Like, look, listen. I've been in America I'm 41, so I've been in here a long time, right? I'm just saying, I see how women treat dudes in America and how women in Europe treat men in America. And it's different. You know what I mean? So, I think, you know what I mean? If I see that,
Yeah, so he's not even talking about these poor, impoverished countries. He's talking about Europe. And I can testify to that as well. When I've been to Europe, I was treated way differently. I talk about this Polish girl who was really attractive, and she opened me up and said how she loved my accent. So, a girl of that caliber probably would not think that I'm unique in America if she was American. But again, if you're selling to the wrong audience, don't expect them to buy your product. Okay? So if every woman in America who's, mid-tier wants a 6'5" millionaire, okay, and you don't meet that profile, then I'm not going to try to give you my sales pitch. You know what I mean? I'm just going to quietly go on about my way and find greener pastures. And the greener pastures, unfortunately for these women, are in foreign countries.
I've not seen any women crying over passport bros.
Not exactly crying, but there are definitely a lot of videos out there of women making videos about men who are seemingly rather confused why men wouldn't want to date women in their own countries.
However, I have seen a lot of women laughing at passport bros, because we can replace men like you with cats and dogs.
That is really great news, because that means there's soon to be a great reduction in the homeless pet population.
But y'all have to literally go to another country because no other woman in your own country wants you anymore.
No, that is not why some men are choosing to go to other countries in hopes of finding their life partner. It's because many aspects of modern society, to include some aspects of modern feminism, has turned the dating pool for men into a veritable cesspool of toxic behavior.
That's what we call a whole cope, honey.
Actually, that's what we call men making the best decisions for themselves, their futures, and their mental health.
Yeah, she hit it right on the head. So again, you have this girl who has tattoos all over her. She's past her prime. She's bitter, and she's making a TikTok to tell the world how much she thinks she knows. And again, why is it her business anyways? Why do y'all even care? The reason you care is because now this awakening of men is forcing you to be accountable for your actions. Okay. And we all know that accountability is like kryptonite to a chick. So she doesn't want to accept responsibility. So yeah, she is going to get a pet, and that's fine. And I've seen this same thing happen. I remember one gal I was dating in Mexico was one of these tents. She was completely stacked to the hilt. She was 38 triple D, okay? And I mean triple D in a way that was absolutely perfect. I've never seen a physique like her in films or otherwise. And, she attracted a lot of attention. And I'm sure there was a lot, at times I would, make eye contact with different American women, and they can't reconcile it in their brain. But it's really simple, right? Opposites attract, okay? And when you go to these countries, you become this opposite or this thing that they're not seeing on a regular basis. And so you don't have to have all these attributes that people think, okay? These American women think that, oh, we're paying these girls. I didn't pay that girl anything. Now, I did pay for a lot of things because I do that for every single girl that I'm with. But again, I'm not, it's not a monetary transaction. She wants to be around me. So, this is going to create animosity, and you're seeing living proof of it here. But let's look at the next clip because it never ends.
Honestly, the amount of white dudes with Thai women that are waiting to board international flights. It's an absurdity. It is crazy. Like, half of the couples in this airport right now are beautiful Thai women with super basic white dudes.
Yeah, so it's a sign of the times. You better get used to it. And what's so funny about this is that one time I was in Mexico and there was this German girl who she was quite attractive, but she was a little bit older, I guess. And well, I shouldn't even say she was older. She was only like 30, maybe 32 or something, but she was still really attractive. And she knew that I liked Latinas, okay, and specifically Mexican girls. And so I was constantly, talking to these girls and not paying her any attention. It really got under her skin because she started to develop an attraction for me and I wasn't reciprocating that. And then I met this girl at a corner store who asked for my phone number. Okay, so the gal asked for my phone number. And, I told her about what happened, and this gal happened to be like 19 or something, super young and super attractive. And she went to that store to see what she looked like. Okay, she was so bent out of shape about it. She wanted to see what her competition was. And that's the funny thing, right? Is that, these gals get so bent out of shape, but, her game was off. And yeah, I would have hit that. But the reason I didn't is because she brought all this extra to the table. She would be making fun of me and doing this and that. And that was her way of, flirting or whatever. But to me, that gets old, right? I don't want to be in a situation where some gal is belittling me, okay? And I don't care if that's a way that she's showing her affection. I don't operate that way, and if I don't care how hot you are or how much you let me get it, if we're walking around town and all you're doing is making fun of me, like, there are some things that are worth more than your box. Sorry. And that something is called respect. And so, these gals like the one in the last clip, they're so nonchalant about it. Like, oh, well, hardy har har, but you can adapt and you can rise to the occasion, and maybe you will change your situation, but you're going to be traveling around the world just as you are with that kind of attitude, and your situation is not going to improve. Okay. No matter how much you disagree with what's going on, but that's what we're looking at here. But it gets even better. Listen to this.
So I saw a video about this passport bro guy on Instagram, right? Showing like a little vlog of him taking his girlfriend out on a date. He started off the video by taking out like $80. He was showing how he's spoiling his girlfriend, right? Like he got her like a lash service and like nails. And then he said, oh, I'm gonna test her after I did all this for her, to taking her on a date to 7-Eleven. She's like, oh, I love it. You do so much already for me. And inside the 7-Eleven was like actually like a restaurant, like a club inside, and it was like a cute little club. My thing is, I commented this on my video. I'm like, and also he spent $80 on a date, like $80. Like, come on. And I commented, oh, I get all this from men in the US and Miami, like you guys are just broke and don't date beneath your means in the United States, so you guys go to other countries to be able to afford the women that you want to date instead of working hard to afford the women you want to date in the United States, right? As you guys can expect, so many men got mad at me. Are we surprised that they got so emotional? My point is, and you're never going to change my mind about this, currency for women is looks and beauty, and currency for men is regular currency, like money. The society that men...
Yeah, so I'll cut this gal off, because I already looked at her profile, and that, if her words don't say it for you, then you can just look at her profile. And she is also clearly very bitter because, she obviously is pretty stacked. She probably is, able to attract men. But the thing is that she's not getting the men she wants. And I'll show you exactly why. Look at this. Look at her profile. It's nothing but performative narcissism. Okay. And she says in here, I believe she says she's Mexicana. Now, she's not Mexicana. Okay. Now, I can't quote that directly, but a lot of gals that say they're Mexicana or whatever flag they wave, what they mean is they're of Mexican descent. Okay. I don't run around saying I'm an Irishman, right? And if I called myself Irish in Ireland, they would be offended by that. And the same thing happens in Mexico. These gals, they're called no sabes, which means you don't speak Spanish. And she may speak Spanish, but the point is that if you're not from Mexico, don't call yourself Mexican. Okay, you are a fake Mexican. That's what you are. You're waving a flag for which you don't represent. And so if you're born in America, you're an American. And that's the crazy thing, is that yes, there are girls in Mexico that have this kind of social media presence, but the crazy thing is most of the girls that I've dated in Mexico, they have no social media presence. And the ones that have don't post pictures or videos of themselves in any sort of provocative manner. And some of them don't post pictures of themselves at all. And all of their accounts are private. Okay. So, that's the thing, is that she wants to go out on a limb and say this and this and that. Again, why is it your business? And yeah, of course, we don't want to spend all this money and get nothing out of it. Okay. So, sign me up for a $200 sushi dinner where nothing happens. I mean, or any date, dinner, whatever. And I've been in many situations like that. The crazy thing is, almost 100% of the time, all that is happening in America. And some of that does work out for me. You're not going to win every scenario. But the point is that these gals go out there, they do and they say all this kind of nonsense, and they wonder why they're still single. And maybe she's not single. The point is that even if she's with somebody, why is she commenting on this? That's not attractive at all. So I digress. Let's go to the next clip.
Brazil. It's an authentic Brazilian. In every way. Oh, she's shy about speaking English, but she understands everything. Just say, hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Brazil.
Welcome to Brazil.
Isso, muito bem. Como você vai ficar tímida?
Yeah, so I've seen this dude before, and cheers to him because he seems to be killing it. And, when you look at this gal, she doesn't look to me like she can't speak English, or whatever. And he's taking advantage of her. Okay, she clearly speaks English. And, again, gals will go down this path and say, oh, he's paying her. And he may be. But the thing is that you don't, these gals are genuinely attracted to dudes like this, me included. I'm not a pinnacle of attractiveness, but I am 6 foot tall. Okay. I do have enough resources to take a girl out, and I speak Spanish. So, obviously in Brazil, they speak Portuguese, but I'm talking about the fact that I know another language of another culture. It's like a cheat code. So, this guy's going to continue to post videos, and let's go into the next one. It looks like he's with another girl that's different.
American women didn't want me, so I came to this deserted island somewhere in Latin America, met this indigenous girl with a low body count who likes to cook, and all these salty women are going to be commenting on this post. And even though American women didn't want me, believe me, the feeling was mutual, because we're going to have this indigenous princess. Why on earth would I want to deal with combativeness and masculinity? So you guys back home, you're not being appreciated in your home country. It's not new. You are not the problem. Get your passports and meet your nice indigenous girl, like I said, with low body count, who likes to cook.
Yeah, so I mean, there it is right there. Like, and that's the funny thing, is that you see you can tell, okay, when a girl doesn't want to be there. All right. And to me, she looks like she's having a good time. I mean, so even I've savored in that moment many of times where gals have seen me with some hot young chick on the beach and they get all salty because they can't understand why, a guy like me can pull a chick like that. And, there are a lot of reasons for it. Okay. And the point is that, yes, this is very possible for a lot of people. And, so it's going to create animosity amongst a lot of females. And this is a perfect example. This next clip, this gal is coping 150 million%.
This one's for the men who just say they've given up on Western women and are going to go abroad for a woman. I understand some of your frustrations, but if you're going to be a passport bro, there are certain downsides. First of all, you have no idea if this woman is using you for a visa or your money. You're not going to be able to have fun banter with her. She might be more feminine, but she might not feel like your best friend. She might feel more like a maid service. Number two, you're definitely going to run into some cultural differences. Is she going to be willing to give up her family, her friends, her career just to come to the States for you? You guys are also going to run into the issue of where to live. Or are you willing to move there? Passport broing is a cop-out for something that can be easily solved.
Okay. Thanks for the completely false education. So, what is the first thing that she says? The first thing that she says is that there are loopholes in your plan and something about you're going abroad for women and understand your frustrations. Let me see what she says exactly. Okay, so she says that these women are using you, okay? Every single woman that I've dated that was foreign did not want to come to the United States. Okay. That's the joke, right? And there are even people on a separate note that I have met that have come to the United States illegally, okay? And they took that huge journey across the desert and everything else, and they paid cartels to get them to the United States. And they still went back because they don't like it. And the reason they don't is because it's not their home. So, you thinking that some woman is just going to be, she's trying to get a visa to get into the United States. That's actually false, okay? Now, I'm sure there are some women that do that, but a lot of times what happens is the women who typically do that are already in the United States illegally, and then they want to talk to you because they know that you're an American and there might be potential for that visa. But I will tell you that of all of the breakdowns of countries or people who act like that, okay, in the United States, they're typically here illegally again, and they're typically from countries like Venezuela, okay, or perhaps Cuba, countries that are extremely despair. Okay, so I have experienced women who have had that attitude towards me from those particular nations. Okay, and I can see it coming, so obviously I'm not going to follow up on that. And I'm not saying that is how all of them are, but I can tell you that there is a difference. But out of all the Mexican women that I've dated in Mexico, not one of them wanted to come to the United States. Matter of fact, I dated a girl one time who was actually married to an American, and she got married super young. I think she was 18, and then she broke up with him, or he actually broke up with her when she was like 21 or something. And she had been to the United States many times. She had been to Miami, California. She didn't even been to Canada. And she said that she didn't like it. Okay, so here is somebody who comes from, that environment, and they don't want to be in the United States. So again, it's very false what these people say, all right? And, they're trying to do the best they can to justify and cope. But again, let's go into this further. let's do a little screencast of this individual's profile because she knows it all, right? So let's go learn from her. And a good way to learn from somebody like this is just to learn what not to do. So if we look at this gal's website, her TikTok, it's nothing but performative narcissism. Okay, here she is telling us all the things that she allegedly knows. She's wearing low-cut shirts that show her cleavage, what little she has, and she's outside. Okay, that's the point. Is that, you know, here she even says how I met the love of her life, love of my life, and it's one of the lowest viewed posts. And the reason it is because her fan base is probably predominantly male because she's putting herself out there from an intimate or sexual standpoint by the way that she's dressed and the way that she's acting. And her male audience is not interested in her male partner. Okay. And I feel bad for this guy, or I don't feel bad for him because he's just dumb. But, you know, you are with this person who's putting herself all over the internet. So she's basically, why does she need to do that? Okay, why does she need to put her life on display when it's supposedly supposed to be about you and her? Okay, and then she's talking about dating. That's like the biggest red flag. You got a girl who's posting herself all over the internet, and then she's talking about dating. All right, so you know this right here says it all. So again, you see a lot of profiles like this. Gals are getting mad. You know, they're upset, and they wish it was another way because they don't want to accept responsibility. But reality is that's the way it is. So, you know, you should get your passport because I think it's going to serve you well. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment below, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.